Listen and shadow.
What great founders often share from childhood. A simple, honest look at the mindset behind successful entrepreneurs. When people talk about successful founders, they often focus on the end result, the billion-dollar companies, the innovation, the influence. But the real story usually begins much earlier, long before the success, before the funding, and before the recognition. There are patterns that start to appear in childhood. This is not about myths or exaggeration. There is no single personality type that guarantees success. However, when you look closely, you start to notice a set of common qualities that many founders shared early in life. These qualities are not magical. They are practical, human, and, most importantly, developable.
Curiosity, the starting point of almost every successful founder. At the core of almost every successful founder is a deep and natural curiosity. As children, they were not satisfied with simple answers. They asked questions constantly. Why does this work this way? What happens if I change this? Can this be improved? This kind of curiosity is not about being smart in the traditional sense. It is about having an active mind. It is about wanting to understand how things function beneath the surface. In the world of startups, this becomes a powerful advantage. Curiosity leads to discovery, and discovery often leads to opportunity. When you are curious, you don't just follow the market, you start to see gaps in it.
2. A builder's mentality. Many successful founders didn't just consume products, they created things, even at a very young age. These were not always big or impressive projects. Sometimes they were simple experiments, small tools, or basic ideas brought to life. What matters is the habit of building. They learned early that ideas are cheap, but execution is everything. Progress comes from trying, not waiting. You improve by doing, not by thinking alone. In entrepreneurship, this translates into a key principle. Done is better than perfect. Founders who succeed are often those who take action quickly, test their ideas, and improve step by step. They don't wait for ideal conditions, they create momentum. 3. Self-learning and initiative. Another strong pattern is the ability to learn independently. These individuals did not rely only on school or formal education, they explored topics on their own, often going beyond what was required. They read books outside their curriculum, learned practical skills early, and took responsibility for their own growth. This is extremely important in the startup world, where there is no fixed path. Markets change, technologies evolve, and new challenges appear constantly. The ability to learn fast and adapt becomes more valuable than any single degree. Useful expression: stay hungry, stay learning.
4. Deep focus and consistent effort. From a young age, many founders showed an unusual ability to focus deeply on things that interested them. They could spend long hours working on a problem without getting bored. This is often misunderstood as talent, but in reality, it is closer to discipline and engagement. They didn't just start things, they stayed with them. In entrepreneurship, this becomes a major advantage. Building a startup requires long-term commitment, patience during slow progress, and the ability to keep going when results are not immediate. Key idea: success is rarely about intensity, it is about consistency. 5. Comfort with being different. Many future founders did not fully fit in as children. They had different interests, different ways of thinking, and sometimes different priorities. Instead of seeing this as a weakness, they became comfortable with it. This matters because entrepreneurship often requires going against the crowd, challenging common assumptions, and taking risks that others avoid. If you are always trying to follow the majority, it becomes very difficult to create something new. Useful expression: If you think like everyone else, you will build what already exists. 6. Problem-oriented thinking. Another important trait is the ability to notice problems early. While others might accept things as they are, these individuals questioned inefficiencies. Why is this so slow? Why is this complicated? Why hasn't anyone fixed this yet? This is the foundation of entrepreneurship. Every successful startup begins with a problem. The bigger and more meaningful the problem, the greater the opportunity to create value. Simple principle. Find a problem worth solving and you are halfway there.
7. Resilience and tolerance for failure. Failure is not something they avoided, it was something they experienced early and often. Projects didn't work, ideas failed, attempts led nowhere. But they didn't stop. Instead, they developed emotional strength, the ability to recover quickly, a mindset focused on learning, not quitting. In the startup world, failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of the process. Useful expression: fail fast, learn faster. 8. Intelligence, more than just IQ. Yes, many successful founders are intelligent, but not in a simple or academic way. The kind of intelligence that matters most includes pattern recognition, logical thinking, connecting ideas across different fields. However, intelligence alone is not enough. Without curiosity, effort, and persistence, it does not lead to meaningful results. Key insight: intelligence opens the door. Habits determine how far you go. A realistic perspective. It is important to stay grounded. Not everyone who has these qualities becomes a successful founder, and not every founder showed all these traits early in life. There is no fixed formula, but these patterns appear often enough to teach us something valuable. Success is not random, it is built over time through mindset and behavior. Final thoughts. What truly matters? When you look at all these qualities together, a clear picture emerges. The most important factors are not luck or genius. They are curiosity, action, continuous learning, focus, and resilience. These are not talents you're born with or without. They are habits you can develop. If you want to think like an entrepreneur, start small. Ask more questions. Build simple things. Learn something new every day. Stay consistent even when it's hard. Over time, these small actions compound, and that is how real progress happens. Final reminder: you don't need to be extraordinary to start, but you do need to start to become extraordinary.